Great. Now, welcome to video lesson 2 of module 3. And in the first lesson of this module, we have looked at estimates and creating invoices. I want to go back to that and point out a number of things before we proceed from there. So we'll go back to estimates. I want to point out something very important. So let's go to estimate and create an estimate. Click estimate, and here we are. We're going to create an estimate for a given job that actually doesn't exist in the system. So you're going to create that job. So let's say we're creating estimate for this client called estimate for John Patterson, right? So this is a new estimate that does not exist in the system. I showed you how to do that. So it's for a job, it's for a job that does not exist in the system, or it's not assigned to John. So you're gonna enter colons and then enter the new job, and this job is let's say system repairs. Okay, system repairs. Now this one does not exist. This kind of a job is not assigned to Patterson. We didn't assign the job to John Patterson before. Notice the jobs are assigned to John Patterson's network installation and QuickBooks software installation. So this is a new job, and so let's call this one networking. Actually, networking system repair. We installed network for John. We're gonna come back and do some that doesn't sound like let's change this job. Let's call it let's say computer maintenance repair. Okay, or computer maintenance, computer maintenance. So you're going to be doing computer maintenance for John, and then I'll press enter. QuickBooks will prompt me to do a quick add and add that item or job to that customer. So I'm gonna click quick add. There you are. So click right here. I'll click here, and because the job doesn't exist anywhere here, I'm gonna have to add it here. So click add new. It's a service. So let's call this service computer maintenance. Computer maintenance. All right, computer maintenance. I'm not sure that that's the right spelling, but let's see, computer maintenance. Now let me point out something here. When you're adding items, so that's inventory or service inventory, item name, you can enter the name of the service, or you can give it a specific number. So if I wanted to code all my services, you can add a number here rather than a name, and that number will be assigned to that kind of service. But best practice, when you have a name, it becomes more clear. So that's why we're using names, but we can assign numbers. So that is it. So let's see how much this job will cost. Now let's say this job costs per hour, let's say we charge how much per hour? Let's say we charge 1,000 per hour. Okay, and then the assigned account is source income, and then you click OK. What you need to do here, and this is now very important, it's why we are revisiting this quantity. You need to enter the amount of hours that is going to take for you to perform this job. If you enter 1 hour, like what we did in the previous lesson, we used to enter 1 hour here, and it just was we were doing that because I was introducing you into creating estimates. But this is a computer maintenance. We're going to do computer maintenance for the entire business of John Patasi. So it's going to take a number of hours. It can actually take 20 hours. So because you're creating estimates, you're estimating the number of hours or even days it's going to take for you to be able to perform this job. In our case, it's going to take 20 hours. And so the total amount is going to be 20 times 1,000. So that is going to be 20,000. Depending on the job, remember this is estimate. Depending on the job, you need to estimate the amount of hours it's going to take. So this job is going to take 30 hours actually for us to perform maintenance, computer maintenance for John, and that is going to cost 30,000. So it's important to understand that the amount of hours you enter here, it should be the estimated amount of hours that you're going to take to perform this job. If you enter 1 hour and you cannot perform the job in 1 hour, then you're going to have the wrong estimate sent to your client. So that's very important. I wanted to point that out. So it's going to take 30 hours. That is around 2 days or even 3 days working 2 days working 15 hours per day, which is not actually possible. So this is gonna take 3 days. We're gonna spend 3 days at John's place working for 10 hours per day, and it's gonna take 3 days for us to accomplish this job. So we have 30, which is basically 30 hours to perform the maintenance job. It's very important. Note that the quantity is the time you will take to complete that job, and you determine the total amount that job will cost. So that is it. Description, we can say computer maintenance, computer maintenance services, maintenance, computer maintenance services. All right, it's gonna take that hours, and that is it. Customer message, let's we want them to sign and remit this estimate to us if they choose to work with us. And so this is the total cost. Then you save and close. Now we want to create another estimate, so we are going to save and new. Then 1 or more items have not been assigned a class. Save anyway or cancel and return to the form. Save anyway. So once you click save and new, it's gonna go to another estimate. Let's create another estimate for this client called Cyrus Moses. It's a new job that is not yet assigned to that client. So I'm gonna enter colons, and then I'm going to type in the new job, and this job is going to be, enter colons. We are going to install we're going to install let's see, this is installation, installation of this one is going to be Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi configuration service. Okay, right, and then I'll press enter. I'm prompted that this new service or job does not exist for this customer. It's gonna do quick add, and then I'll come here now, item. It does not exist here. What we have here is actually that one does not exist here. So we're going to create a new one. So I'm going to click new, and it's a service. So I'm going to create and call it Wi-Fi configuration. And that's it. It's the rate. Gonna be charging 2500 per hour. Click OK. You must specify the account. Click OK. Of course, the account, this is income, and then you click OK. To configure Wi-Fi, it's gonna take around 8 hours, and then you'll be done with that job. And that's gonna be 20,000. So just a one-day job. Wi-Fi configuration will be done. So that is it. Then you click right here, and we want this customer to sign and remit back a copy of this if they are ready to work with us, or we can say kindly contact us if you're ready to have us proceed with the job. So that's the message. You can create another estimate for this customer. I'll click right there, and we can create another estimate. Like, let's say the same customer still want CCTV camera installed, so you can pick CCTV camera. And notice that our CCTV camera, we end at 1 hour, so the cost of this is 1500. Now it's gonna take a lot of hours to be able to do this, so let's give it it's a 4-day job, and you're gonna be working 8 hours per day. So that is going to be 4 times 8, around 32 hours. So let's give it to that hours. I'm gonna be working for that hours to install this CCTV camera, and there you are. So it's gonna cost this customer 45,000. So you can, in the estimate, you can add as many jobs as you want, depending on what the customer, the kind of job the customer want an estimate for. And then you're going to get the total amount. It's gonna be these 2 jobs. It's gonna be 75,400. So that's it. Then you click save. So the point to notice here is the quantity. This is the amount of time it's gonna take to perform that job. And system QuickBooks will pick the time you're gonna spend on that job times the cost per hour, and then to calculate the total amount. So be very careful when you're creating estimates on the column of quantity. So you click save and close, and then you click save anyway, and there you go. So that is one of those things I wanted to point out when it comes to estimates. Let's go to invoice, and I want to point out something on creating invoice. So we're going to create invoice for those 2 jobs for that customer. So we click right here, and the customer was let's see, which customer was that? Yeah, Silas. Now I'm gonna close this one and point out something. that I think it's very, very important. So say no. Remember what you said when it comes to you creating invoice or rather estimate. When you're picking here, don't pick the customer, pick the job. Okay, so don't forget that. Pick the job, don't pick the customer. You will be able to generate very clear reports when you are looking at your report in terms of which job you did, how much costed, and all that. If you don't pick the job, if you pick the customer, then when you're looking at your reports for the estimates, rather than tell you the kind of job that you had estimated, it will call that job other, and that's going to be very confusing for you to know what kind of job was that. So let's now get back to invoices. Create invoice. We come here and let's pick this customer. That's the invoice we want. Actually, we just for the invoice, you can pick the name of the customer and it will show all this. It will show this estimate for these jobs. Remember, this customer, there were 2 jobs, and it will show the entire invoice. So let's cancel that and let's see whether we can pick a specific job. Let's see, we want Wi-Fi configuration. It still pick the entire job. So any estimate created within a single day, it will show you the total amount of the entire estimate. So we pick the job we are creating invoice for, then you click OK. And we learned how to create invoice for a percentage of the entire job, where you enter the percentage here, and we learned how to, now let's create invoice for the entire job. So click create invoice for the entire job, then I'll click OK. So it will include the entire job here for this invoice. And then what you notice is the invoices are being numbered. This is invoice number 3. It will progressively number those invoices from the first invoice, second invoice, and the third invoice. So this is how you create invoice if you want to invoice the entire job. I'm gonna clear this actually, and let's do it again. Let's pick some client and let's pick the invoice and let's click OK. And let's pick create invoice for selected items or for different percentage. Let's see what happens. Click OK. Now notice now it is separating those estimates. In this estimate that you created here, we had 2 jobs. Let me just get back there so you can see what I mean. I'm gonna clear this, close this, go to invoice. We are invoicing Moses. Now with Moses we had 2 jobs and we estimated them all at once. One was Wi-Fi configuration and we had another 1 more job, a total which went to 75,000. Let me just show you what those jobs were. I'll cancel that. I will clear this and close this. Let's go back to the estimates. Let me show you what those jobs were. Use previous. These are the jobs for this customer. We did Wi-Fi configuration and camera installation. This is the estimate that we sent. So these are 2 jobs in a single estimate. When we invoice them and we ask the system to invoice each of these jobs, to invoice a certain percentage of each of these jobs, it will allow you to invoice Wi-Fi configuration independently and CCTV camera independently, meaning You can invoice the Wi-Fi and ask for maybe 20%. For the CCTV installation, you can maybe ask for 50%, depending on what you want. So let me show you how that one works. So we're good to close this. Go to invoice. We are invoicing this client for that job that we sent estimate for, and this is the entire job. It will cost 75,500. These are two jobs, Wi-Fi configuration and that other job. So now we pick the job, all right, and then we click OK. Now QuickBooks will ask you how you want to invoice that job. You can invoice the entire job, or you can create invoice for percentage of the entire job, or you can split and invoice each job a certain percentage. So let's pick split. We learned how to do this. Click that option, click OK. It will invoice the entire job, but that is not what we want. Notice 100% total amount. That's not what we want. We want to invoice a certain percentage to this job, a certain percentage to this job. So I'm gonna clear, come back here, pick the customer and pick the estimate and click OK. And then here I'm gonna pick create invoice for selected items or different percentage of each item. I'll click there. Then I'll click OK. So QuickBooks will split these two jobs. The first job is Wi-Fi configuration, the other one is CCTV camera. To split them and show you how much would be the cost for Wi-Fi configuration and how much would be the cost for CCTV camera. And then you can decide how much you want to be paid or what percentage you want to be paid for each job separately. Okay, so what you have is a progress invoicing for Wi-Fi configuration. Why Wi-Fi configuration? It's one that's selected here. If I select this one, it will be a progress invoice for. All right, it's basically using the first one to refer to the entire project, but you can invoice them at a different percentages or different amount. So let's see, for each item below, specify the quantity or the rate or amount of percentage of the estimate amount to have on the invoice. Now I can say I want to show quantity and rate. If you activate quantity and rate, let's see, this is okay. All right, let's see. For each item below, specify the quantity, rate, amount, or percentage of the estimate amount to have on the invoice. So you want to get QuickBooks to really specify what percentage you want to invoice for each job. Now let's say for this job which cost 20,000, I want to be paid 10,000. So you can enter that amount there. Okay, and for this job which will cost 45,000, I want to be paid maybe 30,000. So what we are doing here is we are creating an invoice, and for each of these two jobs we are setting the amount we are invoicing for that given job. That's how you can separate different jobs and ask for different amount of payment for that given job. Now if I delete this and I delete this, delete these ones, and let's come here, show quantity and rate. Now when you activate that one, it will show the estimated quantity of time it will take to deliver the job and the estimated rate. Okay, and the scroll is so right. Let's see what we have. So the estimated quantity of time and how much you charge per hour, and then the estimated total amount for both. And then I'm trying to resize these columns so we can see what other right, rate, amount. Okay, basically by activating this one, you'll be able to see the estimated quantity and the estimated time and the total. We deactivate that one, we activate this one and say show percentage. You shown the estimated amount, prior amount paid, there's no amount that is paid. Let's see what we have here. We have percentages. Let's see if I have 10% and okay, let's see. This one will give us right okay. Now by changing this percentage, you're actually indicating how much you want to be paid in terms of percentage. If for this CCTV camera I want 10%, then that means it's 10% of the total amount. So I'm basically asking for 4,500. If I want half of the payment, I'll need to enter here 50%, which is basically half of this payment, which is going to be 22,500. So I can assign different percentages of the amount I want to be paid for any given job here. So this is very important. So when invoicing, you can invoice the entire job, or you can invoice such that you receive a certain percentage of a given job. If you are invoicing for 2 jobs, you can invoice them separately, or you can ask for different percentage for each job, like in this case 10% for the Wi-Fi configuration and 50% for the CCTV camera. So you decide which method you want to use. If you don't use percentages, you can deactivate this, activate this, and actually you can deactivate this one and enter the amount you want to be paid for any given job. Okay, so it can be in terms of percentages, or it can be in terms of the amount that you want. It's very, very important. Here I can say I want to be paid for this job. I want 10,000, and for this job I want to be paid 30,000. All right, so I'm invoicing that 1,000 for CCTV camera and 10,000 for Wi-Fi configuration, and the total amount is this. So that's very important to note. So let's just go with this one instead of percentages, or we can just ask for 50% for each job, and it's 50% for that job and 50% for that job. So I'm basically invoicing 50% for each job for me to be able to go ahead and deliver on that. Here I want 50%. All right, not sure what's going on here. I remove that one. I'm invoicing 50% for this job. All right, to delete that. to ask 50%. There you are. So for each of these jobs, I am invoicing 50%. Then I'm going to click OK. The total amount will be that 7,700. I'm using percentage, but remember you can also use total amount by deactivating both this one and this one. Then enter the amount you're asking for every one of those jobs. So click OK, and there you are. So to notice is for Wi-Fi configuration, I'm asking for 50%, which is 12,500, and for camera installation, I'm asking for 50%. Sorry, 50%, which will be 10,000 for Wi-Fi configuration. 50%, which will be 22,500 for the CCTV camera. Okay, and then I click save and close. So when invoicing, you can invoice certain percentage of the job. You can invoice the total amount. If you're invoicing for several jobs, you can split and ask for different percentages for each job. So save and close. One or more items have not been assigned a class. Click save anyway. There you are. So that's very important to master when it comes to invoicing. Let's ask for payment for those estimates before we wrap up this lesson. So create invoice. Sorry, we actually created invoice. That's what we were doing. Now in the next lesson, we're gonna learn how to receive payments. You create an invoice. Sorry, you create an estimate. Once the customer awards you the job, you create an invoice. In this case, you can decide to invoice the entire job or a certain percentage of the job. If you are delivering or you are handling 2 jobs for that given customer, you can invoice a certain percentage for each job. I've shown you how to do that. Now in the next lesson, I'm gonna show you how to receive payments after you have invoiced your customer, right? So for now, practice the 3 types of invoicing. Practice how to invoice the entire job. Practice how to invoice a certain percentage of a given job. Practice how to invoice certain percentages of more than one job, which is what you've just done. Okay, make sure you get good at that because that's very, very important. Also take note when it comes to estimates. On the column quantity, you need to enter the estimated amount of time you think you're gonna spend when you are working on that project, so you don't underestimate the job for the client. So practice that, get good at it, and in the next lesson I'm gonna show you how to receive payments from your customers or clients. I'll see you in the next lesson.